And welcome back to the Part-Time Otaku Podcast. My name is Grant.
My name is Dave.
It is Wednesday. That means it is another My Hero Academia review from Dave and I. Before we get too deep into the weeds, I want to just say that this is a anime-only podcast. Neither of us are manga readers in any aspect so far, so no need to worry about spoilers there. But Dave, so what do you think?
Killer episode.
Yeah.
Kind of delivered the goods. Felt like
right
maybe...
up top.
Yeah, right up top.
Right up top.
And I think, like, they're doing a good job pacing this season. Every time it starts feeling a little bit stale, they pull you right back in. I think that's what this episode did.
I agree. Yeah, big time. It's, I've been listening back to, some of our episodes, and it's so funny. Like, it feels like every episode so far, you and I are so hyped on the episode, but by the end of it, we're kind of, there's a lot of things that didn't work here. It's kind of been like the trend for this season so far, and I think for me at least, like of the 5 seasons, it's the first one. Obviously, like, we're analyzing it a little more, but it feels like it's like start stop. I think this is the first episode this season. It only took 8 episodes, where it's just like across the board, I was like, everything kind of fit into its place correctly and was, I don't know, I just very well rounded.
It was beginning, middle, and end. It had, the episode had a really good flow.
Yeah.
One thing it feels like they've been doing a lot this season is just the idea of reversals. Like, the moment you think it's going this way, it goes that way.
Yeah.
The episode does that all over the place. Before we dive into that, though, we should give a shout out to our thumbnail for this week.
Oh, big time. Yeah, so shout out to Flame Graphics Art on Twitter for the Lita thumbnail.
Very appropriate for this week.
Sick, man. You sent this to me, and I was like, how perfect is this? Like, yeah.
Super appropriate for this week. And I've been seeing him post these on the My Hero Academia subreddit, and he's been redrawing this same kind of keyframe or this same art for the last little bit. And I saw this one come up, and I was like, this is the best one he's done so far, or at least it's my favorite one that he's done so far. He's on Twitter. He does manga colorings and also original art and stuff like that. He does have in his bio, though, I did not scroll too far down, but he says, like, not spoiler-free manga stuff. And he does AOT drawings. I saw a couple of them, but I didn't want to go too far down, just in case.
Wow, safe, kids.
But really, really cool work. So
definitely
thank you very
check
much.
His stuff out. And honestly, anyone we've mentioned, like any of the shout-outs we've had for the thumbnail, like, always, we hope, if anything, you listen to our show and you go and check these artists out, because it blows our mind every week.
A lot of talent out there.
Yeah. So I guess we'll jump right into the synopsis. Episode 8, match 3. It's still anybody's game. The third match continues with an endurance battle between Todoroki and Tetsu.
Short and sweet. That is kind of Todoroki's... For a second there, I thought this was going to be a Todoroki central episode, and it sort of is.
I would say, like, the second leg, because, I find they've been, the past few episodes, they've been doing, like, the tri-arc. They get their one, like, A plot, B plot, C plot within the fight itself. And I found this episode was more like 1 and 2. Like, they were really focusing on, like, lead up top, and then the brunt of it. And it was mixed in with some of the other cast, too. But, like, when it comes to, like, main points of the episode, it was definitely just those two, I find.
It is impressive, and we've talked about this before. We hit on it every week, it feels like. But this episode also did a good job of, and so did the previous episode, and because it's the same match, but it's done a very good job of also giving Class B players opportunity to shine.
Yeah.
And making it feel like these aren't like just sort of makeshift opposition for Class A to run through.
Yeah.
Because the competition so far, if you consider how this ends and the last 2 matches went, the competition is very tight, right?
Well, there's 2 different philosophies. The classes are, at this point, like, by no intention of the teachers, but both classes have had to develop their own kind of philosophies, and we've said this before. Like, Class B, they're following the curriculum, they're following the program, and they have the time to focus on their skills. Whereas Class 1A, because they've had all this weird attention, from the League of Villains and all that, like, they've had to like experience, and like they're just they're adaptable, right? So it's it's bound to be a match like this because they're it's an immovable object versus an unstoppable force kind of mentality between the two different, like like I said, two different philosophies coming head to head. So it's but Dave, the way this episode, I could not believe they opened the episode like just full on Sakuga, like let's fucking throw the budget at this episode. I couldn't believe it.
That was maybe some of the best they've done in the show. That was obscene. I couldn't. Yeah, and I'm stoked that they gave that moment to Lita. I don't know why, just because I think he's a good character.
Yeah.
And like it's just creative, right? You think in your head like, who has some of the most aesthetically or visually appealing quirks? You don't always think of the guy that runs fast.
Yeah,
I mean,
the race car guy.
Yeah, and it just felt like they were like, okay, be creative. He runs fast. What if he ran really fast? Like, what would that look like? But like, they completely kind of turned his quirk on its head with this new move. And it's like 2-3 straight minutes of him just whipping around, kicking ass.
I could not believe the time that was there was no breaks. It's like you said, it was like 2 or 3 minutes. The animation did not take it didn't pull back at any point. It just stayed consistent, fat. It was beautiful. Like, honestly, probably the most beautiful animation this season by far.
Definitely honestly, is the season, 100%.
The last scene that looked this good was the overhaul fight up in the sky.
Oh yeah.
Even then, that was obviously that's like better because that was dope. But like that was like the season finale.
Yeah.
More or less, or at least obviously it wasn't the season finale, but like to that arc,
the arc,
it was closing it out. And I honestly, like, I think back, the best part of the scene, there's a point where it honestly looks like he's like a transformer, and he's actually taking the shape of like a car or a motorcycle. Like,
for
his
a
body.
second there, I remember that.
And I was like, yeah, but they really lean into, again, this has been a theme this season, but they really lean into each character finding their niche within their quirk.
Yeah. Of
like, just leaning into what makes it unique and what makes it, or a way of, making it that much better. And it's all across this episode. I don't want to jump ahead, but there's a couple really cool moments this episode. But Lita kind of like opens, like, unreal opener. Like, best opener by far this season.
He pulls the, because it looks like he's about to lose right at the end of the last episode. Then he says he's got this up his sleeve. He kind of turns thing around on the softening guy, whose name I forget.
Mudman.
And then, so Mudman's like, hey, well, fuck this, I'm out. So he sinks through the ground and decides to go help his teammates. After just all that killer animation. Then we go to Ojiro. He's the one with the tail, right?
Yeah.
And then it looks like he's kind of on the back foot against this spiral gyrate guy.
Yeah.
And for a sec there, I was like, I wonder if we're not going to see Lita for a while.
Nope.
And then he's like, just shows up, just fucking yeets this guy.
Snatches him going. Yeah.
Did you catch that moment? Was that, who says it? Is it Ojiro? One of the guys has a good zinger. He goes, he even talks faster in this form.
Yeah, I think it was Ojiro.
That was pretty good. Then
poor Ojiro, he has a bit of a raw deal this episode. Like,
he does.
He has, and there's, I guess and I didn't notice it, Leanne, because we were rewatching it the second time, and Leanna pointed it out to me. They make a reference to the horse girl, and someone else make a reference to him being ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name? Is that his superhero name?
Oh shit, I have no idea.
And I was like, oh shit, are they like talking smack on him right now, saying like he is just ordinary?
Interesting. He's one of those characters that hasn't had a big moment, or like a Red Riot episode or anything like that. Not saying that that doesn't mean that every character needs one, right? Because then it's hard to like have a show.
Yeah, no, agreed. Absolutely.
But yeah, you're right. He does kind of get a bit of a raw deal in this one. But Lita bails him out. Then we go to Todoroki. And this is like, I mean, we're approaching maybe the 8-minute mark would be my loose guesstimate. at this point in the show, and this is like the second time they bust out good animation. And it's this episode's pretty consistent for how far they push it. But he seems to be losing against Tetsu. We go back to that same flashback as we did in the previous episode about him sort of training under duress.
His dad towering over him.
Yeah. And
noticed the I only noticed the vomit the second time around.
Yeah, same here actually. But yeah, then he goes for it, and he goes Super Saiyan, and he goes as hot as he can. He uses the flame instead of the ice because he was trying to use flames beforehand. Tetsu seemed to be completely unaffected by it, and then he just sort of raises the temperature, and this is sort of where their stalemate starts. I
know I feel so bad. You called him
Discount Red Riot.
Discount Red Riot, but he actually in this episode he has a couple of really good moments.
Yeah, 100%.
Is it this scene? I'm not sure if he does it again later, but is it in the scene where he talks about like he goes into the kiln and he learns to temper his own steel?
It's towards the end, I think.
Okay, well, it's not in this scene.
Eh? But yeah, I mean, we can cover it now. That's a killer episode, and it's a killer moment, I should say.
I love. Oh, sorry. No, you go.
I was just gonna say it's this theme about people making their quirk work for them, or finding the niche of their quirk, or just finding these ultimate moves, or whatever you want to call it. That's been a very consistent theme throughout the entire show, and it's cool to just see that even characters that are off screen or don't get a ton of time. It's like, hey, the last time you probably saw him in action was in like seasons 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But you should probably assume that somebody you haven't seen has probably been working at it.
Yeah.
Just because of how much the show is kind of paying off all the quirk mechanics. It's like these characters aren't really standing still when you don't see them. They change quite a bit. Obviously, Shinsho is a really good example of that.
Life goes on surrounding all these characters.
Yeah. And that's, I think, kind of some impressive writing, right? Because it's a lot easier just to leave characters in stasis, especially when you have dozens of them.
Yeah. And this is where we left you last, and nothing really has progressed for them.
Yeah. They've been off screen.
Yeah.
They've been on the pause button.
I love the, because at the end of the day, it's a show about, people in this world that have like superpowers, but even then, like, the rules of the world still fit to this quirk. Like, he's made out of steel, and like the fact that he's going in an oven is like highly improbable in surviving, but like it still makes sense like on a science perspective, because that's what you do to steel. You heaten it up to toughen it up, and it's just
hammer the impurities out.
Yeah, it just honestly, like, it's so simple, but it's so smart and so genius. And it was like, I think it was last episode when we were kind of, both you and I were really impressed with just the kind of the back and forth between class, like this group of Class B. It seemed natural, and I was like, this is just like another natural moment. Like, this Tetsu guy is getting really good, exposure. I find like there's a couple Class B characters that they've been giving the highlights to, which also makes me think that they might be coming around more.
Right.
Soon. Like Tetsu and Kendo.
And wait, Kendo's the big hand girl, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's who I was thinking of. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So that starts that conflict. We hit pause on that, and we go to Shoji, because he's chasing down this horn girl, and he turns into Machamp.
Yeah. That was sweet.
Same deal, right? He's been working on it. And then Ojiro shows up because he's been rescued by Lita previously. So he shows up to back up Shoji, and these are the two characters I constantly mess up or confuse with one another. So this should be fun. They briefly have an advantage over the horse chick, the horn girl.
Yeah.
But then Mr. Soft making the flaccid fellow shows up. No, but yeah, the Mudman shows up. And this is kind of what I was talking about at the top of the episode, where it's like reversal. I have the advantage, now they do, now we do again. That's kind of like all that shit just happened really, really fast.
It's flip-flopping without like the, like not the, not like the bad connotation of flip-flopping, but it's just, it's like chess. It's like, their move, then your move, then their move, then your move. It seems natural in a fight.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think it was in early part of season 4 of Attack on Titan. I remember it was one of the action heavy episodes, and I won't spoil it here, but I remember saying that to you, like a couple of action seasons, it was just like, now you, now me, now you, now me.
Yeah.
And when you care so much about these characters and there's high stakes, it's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Like who has the upper hand?
Yeah,
And it
it's hard to
changes moment to moment for the duration of that scene. And that's also just really cool visual storytelling. A lot of the time there's like no lines at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just action, action, action. So I think that was very cool, this brief, quick 2-on-2 that happens. But briefly, eventually, the Horn Girl is able to get, she sees kind of an opportunity while she's wrapped up by Ojiro, and she flies herself and him into jail, which I respected.
That was awesome. Just the force of her blasting through and like slamming into the cage. Yeah. And then it cuts to Vlad and just the smug like look on his face. It was nice because yes, he's biased.
Oh yeah.
But it honestly looked like a proud look. It's hard to say, like, this is kind of just like kind of world building in my own head, but it's like, what's the dynamic in this class? Like, who's running the show? Who's a follower? Who's struggling?
Yeah.
So, whether it mattered, because, even then, like, this is jumping ahead, but like she makes points of like she does not want to be the reason to lose.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm sure none of them do, but like they really hit that home this episode with her.
Mm-hmm.
And just for her to have that, put that point away, it was a cool moment. Like, obviously, she's not in our class that we're used to, but she put points on the board.
Yeah, it's another good example of them giving a character a moment with little build up or context, right? We've seen this particular show do that successfully over and over. They just seem to be able to do that, which is really impressive considering how hard it is to make an audience care about a character they don't know.
Yeah.
Then we go back to Todoroki and Tetsu. Another flashback. More animation.
Todoroki is cursed with flashbacks.
He really is. I think, I'm curious your thoughts. Like, I've always considered him like a 1A character, pardon the pun, but like a front and center character. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell that they're building up.
He sells tickets.
Yeah, they're building up certain characters, and that's obviously Deku and Bakugo, but I think Todoroki is right there as well.
Absolutely.
They're investing very heavily in his relationship with Endeavor, who is clearly also an important character. So yeah, like sometimes it might feel a little forced when you give us 4 flashbacks in 2 episodes and they're all the same.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, it's a little heavy-handed, but it does the job because he has this flashback and he goes to Super Saiyan 2.
Yeah.
And the animation in this sequence is pretty great. Yes. It seems like he finally gasses Tetsu, or he's right on the edge of doing that.
Do you know what I thought was cool in this? And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but do you remember last episode when Endeavor, it cuts to Endeavor and there's like the high-speed chase, and then he catches up with the villain and he puts him down by more or less like grabbing his arms and just heating him out?
Yes.
And he taps.
Oh,
Todoroki does the exact same thing.
I didn't even fucking catch that.
He goes for the shoulder, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, there's obviously like they're very heavy-handed with the comparisons between Todoroki and his father, obviously, because their stories are so intertwined, with the ability, the quirks alone, and then the drama. But it's I don't know. It was really cool. Like it looked awesome.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Lita levels of animation,
but it was high end. That could have been its own episode highlight. Like
absolutely.
The fact that both of these fights and these like power ups for the 2 of them were in the same episode is pretty cool.
Yeah,
it makes me wonder if next episode is just gonna be 1 frame per second. Maybe they blew their budget on this, but anyway, it's pretty killer. Right as Todoroki's about to deal what looks like the final blow, the soft fellow, flaccid man, Mudman shows up to intervene. Does he knock out Todoroki, or he's about to knock out? What happens here? I can't remember in the mess.
I think they're separated, and Todoroki is winded, and then he essentially flaccets the floor, and a pipe knocks out Todoroki.
Oh yes.
It falls down and knocks him
everything.
out.
Yeah. The supporting beams go down. The
Yeah.
pipe comes down, smacks Todoroki in the head. Right as he's losing consciousness and finally going down, because Tetsu's down, Todoroki's also going down. Lita shows up and saves him at the fucking speed of light.
Yeah.
The crazy son of a bitch.
What an MVP of this episode. Like,
big time. And then, you think...
Of this tournament so far, I would say.
Oh, dude, for sure.
Well, actually, you know what? That might not be...
Who do you got? Who's done more than Lita at this point? In this brief exercise.
So, let's put it in perspective. Lita, all he has really done is get other people of his team out of the way. He has not really done much at progressing the victory for their team. He's damage control this episode.
Fair enough.
So in that manner, I would say he's the MVP of this episode by far.
Yeah. They would have lost several times
if it wasn't for him. Absolutely. Because he was stuck saving everyone's ass, more or less. MVP of the tournament, or I guess this arc so far.
God, I hope Deku pulls some crazy shit.
It's got to. I'm excited. I'm
more Midoriya 1v4s those bitches.
Yeah, I'm more excited for the Bakugo episode, if I'm being honest.
That's next one, right?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. But I would say Froppy had some good moments in the first fight. She had some clutch moves. Good-ish. And
not Lita.
Well, she took the win, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay, fine.
We're getting stuck in the weeds here.
But, I'll tell you right now, though, if they give us some lame, like, Bakugo blows it on his ego because he's being stupid.
You and I had wondered if that was the case.
If they do this in season 5 of the show, when they've already done that in season 1 of the show, I will be not too impressed, because so much of this has been about growth, like this episode, for example. I want to talk about the Bakugo thing at the end of the episode. But okay, so anyway, where are we? Basically, Lita rescues Todoroki, and then the flaccid fellow, in another quick moment of, counter, he drops a building on them.
Yeah.
And it looked,
with an assist from Tetsu, who's out, and then has enough just to smash his head on something.
Yeah,
which I love.
So, I think it's just about everybody is down. There's a cool moment of biased commentary again. Mm-hmm. They've got one each in prison red at this point, right?
Yeah.
Who's in prison for the Class B team?
The Gyrate dude.
Gyrate, yes. Because Lita got him in prison.
Oh, I guess, Lita did put points on the board. That was him.
Yeah, so Lita put him in prison, and the Horn Girl got, I think it was Ojiro in prison.
Yep.
And then she pulls at her own MVP moment, because she shows up, she picks up 2 of her boys and Todoroki. She flies up high to avoid Shoji, because he doesn't seem to be able to do anything about opponents in the air, which seems like an oversight that I wouldn't have realized. And I was like, so what are you going to do? And I completely forgot about the point that the whole thing runs on a clock.
Yeah.
We haven't, is that the first time the clock
has run out? I would say, yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah, it felt like the clock wasn't even a mechanic at this point. I never remember a character being like, we're going to run out of time. It just sort of kept the you know what I mean? I
think there's been mentions of we've wasted too much time on doing this,
right.
But not in the instance of the time is going to run out, of we wasted time against our target kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely the first time they've done that.
So it ties. 1-1. That was but I gotta tell you, the use of all the reversals and all the counters and the this and that, all the back and forth we've talked about, giving the audience a tie at the end, I was like, yeah, okay, that's pretty good. I didn't see that shit coming.
I didn't see it coming at all. I was like, yes, now it's going to be extra dire.
Yeah. So I was down with that. They sort of say some stuff about justifying it. They're like, hey, running away and waiting for help is a good option if you're a real hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
And Lita too, he had a lot of moments this episode where he was analyzing. He goes, no, you have to rescue the civilians. You have to rescue people first. Yeah, and that was his reasoning for snatching up or attempting to grab Todoroki instead of going for Mudman or Mudman or whomever. And I was like, that's just very telling of his character. And yeah, I'm down for the Lita show.
Yeah,
which will never happen, but in my mind.
But he wakes up with not with, but him and Todoroki wake up
in the
hospital, and they have their own lessons, like you just said. Todoroki also says he was a little bit too slow on the uptake. He doesn't use his fire enough, which that's been a very consistent theme throughout the show. Mm-hmm. So it'll be curious to see where this guy where this goes. There's another brief moment with the Class B guy being annoying. Is his name Copy or something?
I think that's his quirk.
Okay, yeah.
But that dude, he puts in a fucking performance when he just like the way they shot him, like starting from his feet and slowly working up, and the camera angles cutting, and just like the animation style kind of has that. I don't even know how to describe it. Just that shrill look, like dark and like extra. It was almost like the borders were bigger kind of thing, and just the guy's voice is just.
He does sell it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to give it up, right, when it's good.
Yeah.
And he's annoying, but that's the point, and he sells it, and it's usually a little bit funny.
And he's used as like the narrative for the next episode. Like he's teeing up, which I don't get. It was very weird.
I'm so confused by that, dude. This is what I wanted to ask you about. Who is this girl? Why is it why is it remotely relevant or connected to Bakugo? Are we supposed to know this?
I think because that's the thing, because it cuts to Bakugo and like his team.
Yeah.
And he clearly has just told them something, and they're all like, "What?" Like, So I'm wondering. I guarantee you we're gonna get like a 10-minute long, or not 10 minutes. We're gonna get like a 5-minute long flashback of Bakugo and this girl somehow, and they're gonna have some history.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was like, I would not blame either of us if we like met her in an offshoot of a random scene like 3 seasons ago and we just don't remember.
I honestly don't remember. Like I've seen her key art before and I've seen fan art before, so I don't know if she's a big deal or not, but I have no idea what's going on.
So you don't know either. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, that makes me feel better, because I was like, I don't understand the relevance and why are people looking at Bakugo like what? But anyway,
like, is it his girlfriend? And they've been like, he's been, because he's like kind of a loner. He doesn't do stuff with everyone. He could be off doing his own thing. That's it could be anything, honestly. But I'm curious, and
I'm stoked for Bakugo to have an episode.
I don't want him to blow it.
We're 8 episodes into the 5th season, and Bakugo's had like 2 scenes. So hopefully, as a big character, they give him some cool moments.
He's gonna get some Sakuga for sure.
Oh yeah, they better.
Yeah, it's gonna.
And I'm ready. Nice. Presumably we've got 2 of these left, at least 2 matches, probably multiple episodes of matches left. And then I'd like to shift from that to some more villainy, almighty, all for one for all oriented type stuff. But
Dave,
we'll see.
I'm enjoying these fights, and I am looking forward to like these coming fights because I want to see everyone show their stuff.
Yep,
but I'm bored.
Yeah, I'm kind of like these, and I'm not like shitting on it, but these types of what would you guys like? A tournament isn't a plot mechanic, but it's like these types of storylines are really great, especially when it's early on and you need to establish who's who and who's good at what, and you want to like build relationships. Like that's why the festival and the tournament in season 2 and all those exercises in season 1 were really great because you had to learn about all these characters and see what they were like together. That was like basically 90% of season 2, or maybe not 90, but a lot.
Yeah.
But we're like 5 seasons deep. I'd like to see like the main thread continue. And I mean, you could argue that like them becoming pro heroes is the main thread, and this is a step toward it. Yeah. But this also feels a little bit, I don't know, retrospective. Of the show. Absolutely. So I'm ready to see.
It's just we're just in that weird middle ground, right? Like I said, like we're both enjoying it. We're both like, it all just feels like we're watching all this other stuff. We're seeing some of the key characters. We're seeing some progression with them, but it's all just leading to the Vessels moment. Mm-hmm. Of Shinsho and Midoriya. So like, it's I don't know. Like I'm like it's weird. Like I'm just in like a weird middle ground, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with it's good to question what you like and what you watching, right? And
100%.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm like Bakugo. That's gonna be the juice. I'm sure.
Give me all the Bakugo.
Oh yeah.
I think that wraps it for this episode.
I believe so.
You see what you did?
How dare you?
You see. I'm not gonna say her name because then she's gonna start talking to me. But like, that scared the bejesus out of me.
It scared me. I thought someone was breaking into your car.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Well, I'm leaving that in. We're leaving that in. I was just gonna say at the end there. Fortunately, I'm excited for next episode, and I also want to say we're watching lots of other stuff. Addition and in parallel to My Hero Academia. If you haven't checked out the post show, that drops on Fridays. This Friday we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We're still watching, Jujutsu Kaisen, To Your Eternity. I got lots to say this week on Castlevania.
Ooh.
So yeah, stay tuned for the post show.
I'm excited, guys. Come join me. I'm excited.
Yeah,
it's gonna be good.
Tune in, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Later, guys. Thanks.
Cheers.